it was meant to unite two dynasties. Instead, it became the stage for a perfect murder. The union was crafted to seal a fragile peace, a marriage designed to stitch together the frayed edges of two rival kingdoms. On one side stood a powerful dynasty, seeking to expand its influence through a calculated alliance rather than costly warfare. On the other, a smaller, though fiercely proud, kingdom, willing to offer its most precious jewel, the princess, to secure its borders and ensure its survival. The bride, Princess Elara of Eldoria, was renowned for her beauty and grace, a symbol of hope and new beginnings. She was chosen for peace, her hand in marriage a promise to end generations of bloodshed and suspicion. The groom, Prince Valerius of the formidable Valterian Empire, was a man forged in conflict, his reputation preceding him as a cunning and ruthless warrior. He accepted the union with a public display of magnanimity, but in the shadows of his court he carried a deep-seated vengeance, a silent vow to avenge a betrayal his family had suffered at the hands of Eldoria's rulers decades prior. To the world, it was a momentous occasion, a celebration of unity that would be sung by bards for centuries. But behind the tapestries and gilded doors of the Valterian palace, a far darker narrative was being written, one that would be inscribed not in ink but in blood. The foundation of this peace was built on a lie, a deception so profound that its eventual collapse was not just inevitable but catastrophic. The wedding was a masterpiece of political theatre, every smile a mask, every toast a veiled threat. As the two kingdoms celebrated, the architects of a sinister plot were already moving their pieces into place, turning a symbol of hope into an instrument of destruction. The grand celebrations, filled with feasting and joyous pronouncements, served as the perfect cover for the treachery that was beginning to fester within the palace walls. While the courtiers and nobles reveled in the apparent harmony, hidden plots unfolded in the dimly lit corridors and secret chambers of the royal residence. Whispers were exchanged in hushed tones. Secrets passed between loyal conspirators, each one a thread in a tightening noose. Prince Valerius, the charismatic groom, played his part to perfection, doting on his new bride in public while orchestrating her demise in private. He had spent years meticulously planning this moment, weaving a web of deceit so intricate that no one, least of all the trusting Princess Elara, could see the danger until it was too late. He used the guise of marital bliss to isolate her, cutting her off from her own retinue and replacing her ladies-in-waiting with his own spies. These were not companions, but keepers, their watchful eyes tracking her every move, their seemingly innocent conversations designed to extract information and report on her vulnerabilities. The air in the palace grew thick with a tension that was palpable yet unspoken. The very walls seemed to hold their breath, bearing witness to a conspiracy that was coiling tighter around its unsuspecting victim. The bride's chamber, meant to be a sanctuary of love and the birthplace of a new royal line, was slowly, methodically being transformed. It was no longer a haven, but a meticulously prepared crime scene, where every object was placed with lethal intent. The draperies that adorned the windows were heavy enough to muffle a scream, the ornate rug on the floor chosen to conceal the stain of blood. A rare, exotic perfume, a wedding gift from the groom himself, was placed on her vanity, its sweet scent masking a slow-acting, untraceable poison. Every element of her new life was a carefully crafted illusion, a beautiful cage designed to lead her to her end. On the third night, following the wedding ceremonies, the carefully constructed facade shattered into a million pieces. The silence of the palace was broken by a single, piercing scream, followed by the frantic sounds of guards storming through the halls. The bride's chamber, A room that had been filled with laughter and promises just hours before had turned into a gruesome tableau of death. Princess Elara was found lifeless on the floor, the silken sheets of her marital bed tangled around her. A delicate silver dagger, ceremonial gift from her own family, protruding from her heart. The room was in disarray, a staged scene of a robbery gone tragically wrong. Prince Valerius was the first to discover her, his face a mask of carefully rehearsed horror and disbelief. He immediately claimed it was a terrible accident, a tragic consequence of a bungled theft by an unknown intruder who must have panicked. He pointed to a missing jeweled necklace as proof, his voice trembling with what appeared to be profound grief. His performance was convincing, and for a moment, the court was plunged into a state of shocked confusion. Yet, the blood told a different, more sinister story. There were no signs of forced entry into the heavily guarded royal wing. The guards stationed outside her door swore that no one had passed. The pristine state of the room, save for the immediate area around the body, suggested a lack of any real struggle. The blood spatter on the walls and the precise nature of the wound whispered of a deliberate, cold-blooded act, not the chaotic result of a frightened thief. The alliance, which had been celebrated with such pomp and circumstance just days earlier, collapsed overnight. The news of the princess's murder reached her homeland like a thunderclap, igniting a firestorm of rage and grief. The fragile peace was not just broken, it was annihilated. Accusations flew like arrows across the border, and the two kingdoms, once on the precipice of unity, now stood on the brink of an all-out war, fueled by a thirst for retribution that could only be quenched with blood. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the official story solidified around Prince Valerius's narrative, a heartbreaking accident, a security breach, a promise of swift justice for the unknown culprit. A few low-level servants were conveniently implicated, their forced confessions extracted under torture before their swift and public executions. For the Valterian Empire, the case was officially closed. But history is not so easily silenced. The whispers that began in the dark corners of the court never truly faded. Instead, they grew louder with each passing year, passed down through generations of chroniclers and scholars who dared to question the official record. Historians who have since pieced together the fragmented accounts, letters, and clandestine court journals whisper a chilling alternate truth. They argued that it was never a wedding in the first place, but a meticulously planned execution in disguise. The marriage was the lure, the celebration the distraction, and the princess the sacrificial lamb in a long-conceived game of power and revenge. The evidence they present is compelling. The groom's deep-seated grudge, the systematic isolation of the bride, the impossible nature of the robbery, and the convenient speed with which the investigation was concluded. They suggest that Prince Valerius saw this union not as a path to peace, but as the ultimate opportunity to strike at the heart of his enemy without firing a single arrow in open war. By murdering his bride and blaming a faceless intruder, he could feign victimhood while achieving his true goal, destabilizing the Eldorian dynasty from within and avenging his ancestors. The royal marriage, meant to be a symbol of unity, became an emblem of the highest form of treachery. It stands as a dark reminder that in the ruthless game of thrones, a wedding vow can be as deadly as a poisoned chalice, and a royal bed can become the coldest of tombs.